Welcome to the UBTECH Education March 2022 webinar, Robotics Out of the Classroom, as opposed to having it inside the classroom. That's next month's webinar, so come back in April for that. Please connect with us outside of the webinar. Our email is on there, as well as the webinar doc I told you about. You can find us on all social media platforms. Follow us, we'll follow you, share things. We love that. Check out our website. We've got tons of stuff on our website. And just a couple notes, this webinar is being recorded, so you will get a link of this recording later. If you want to share it with your friends, you're welcome to do so. Yes, so you'll get it, there you go, in an email. That's what I was trying to say. So who are we? You will see Rusty is on the slide. He is not here today. He is actually out doing a training at a school. So he is busy, but you are welcome to reach out to him if you've watched any of our previous webinars or you have a connection with Rusty. Reach out, follow him on LinkedIn. My name is Christina Davis, former educator, now with UBTECH Education as the educational specialist. That is my email. You can find me on Twitter, LinkedIn. Please follow me. I enjoy that stuff as well, and I will follow you. And then we also have special guest today, Mr. Kenny Bay. Kenny, you are welcome to share anything you'd like about yourself.
All right. Well, hello, folks. I'm so excited and privileged to participate in this webinar with you all. I'm the faculty founder of Walcott College Prep. We're a private school here in Chicago. Our school is actually located right by the United Center, and we are a school for students with learning differences. So all of our students have IEPs from dyslexia, ADHD, dyscalculia, you name it. We have a wide spectrum of learning differences. That's a picture of my lovely family. I have my lovely wife, Lisa, and my two children. Just a little bit about my background education-wise. I'm very unorthodox in terms of my teaching career path. So I actually triple majored in physics with math minor and got my master's in atmospheric science. I was supposed to be a scientist, but then I found my passion in teaching. I did some volunteer work in Kenya, Africa. I was there for 3 months doing volunteer work at rural villages out there. And, I found it was such a profound experience getting to meet with the local, children and all the people out there. And that's when I developed my passion to go into teaching. My family, we come from a very low income background. My parents are immigrants from South Korea, did not have much growing up. In fact, I worked 3 jobs, to pay through my school. Looking back, I worked as a janitor, worked at fast food restaurants, and just a lot of odd end jobs just to get by. And so worked really hard, to be here where I am today. And, humbly, I'm really honored, to actually share some of our stories and experiences with you all, especially in a time like this, with teachers, going through so much, through COVID, and it's such a great opportunity to just really share and learn from each other. So another thing, I'm also a TEDx co-organizer. So we organize a TEDx event. We do this that led by our students, and we want our students to amplify allyship and action. Our TEDx platform is to elevate and create a safe, supportive, gender equal, and gender equitable world. And so we want to educate people how they do things by sharing ideas with each other. And that's one thing that our students are really great at with the learning difference, is that they're very imaginative, they're very creative thinkers, they know how to put ideas together, abstract ideas. So that's a little bit about myself. If you have any questions, you can email me, kbay@walcottschool.org. My pronouns are he, him, his.
Perfect. Thank you so much, Kenny. And to go off the TEDx talk, if you go down to the bottom of the webinar links page, all the way at the bottom, there is the college prep pages on there, and then several of the students sharing their TEDx talks. So please go check those out. All right. So our agenda today is pretty simple, actually, and short. I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking. I'm going to go through my stuff pretty quickly. So I'm going to tell you who is UBTECH and UBTECH Education. I'm going to tell you a little bit about our Campus Spire that we ran the last 2 years. With curriculum and all sorts of stuff there, because this was an out of the classroom robotics experience. And then Kenny's going to share a little bit on his insight of teaching Campus Spire courses. And then we're going to let him run with it and tell you about all the awesome things that he and his students do. And then he'll give you a little bit of advice for preparing your students if you want to do anything extra out of the classroom. And then we'll have Q&A. Now, we're pretty lenient and flexible with Q&A. So if you have questions as we're going through, please put them in the chat. I will monitor that. You can use the question and answer function if you want. If you want to save them for the end, or if you don't want to save them at all and you want to reach out to us afterwards, that is totally fine as well. But please feel free to talk to us in the chat, ask questions in the chat. We will address them as we go. So a little bit about UBTECH. We are a world leader in robotics and AI. So lots of humanoid robots, UVC disinfecting robots, all sorts of fun, big robots, right? Then on the education side, little robots for the kids to build, right? So we're just a division of the UBTECH family, and we focus on STEM, 21st century learning skills, and AI as well. So a little bit about Camp Aspire. So as our climate changed, right, in the classroom because of the pandemic, we also had to adjust as a company. And so because of that, we created Camp Aspire, which was a one-to-one virtual robotics camp held in the summer. And we're going to go through a whole bunch of scheduling and all the different curriculums in just a moment. But this just gives you kind of a little snapshot. So you can see some of our teachers there are photographed. So we do have some of that. We had all sorts of teachers from all sorts of backgrounds and areas that worked with us. We had a whole course schedule, parent involvement. It was so much fun. We had a lot going on. So to tell you a little bit about camp by the numbers. So in 2020, I'm sorry, that's not 2022. That should be 2021. It is now 2022. We offered 9 camps. So there were 4 UKIT beginner camps. We had 3 for students and 1 for educators. We also did 4 UKIT intermediate camps, 3 for students, 1 for educators. So if you don't know anything about us, we offer 3 different UKITs, beginner, intermediate, and advanced based on your students' levels, grade, dexterity, whatever you want to focus on there. So we've got 3 different kits that can help kids of all ages and all grades. And then we also had 1 GMU Champbot camp. So we had 9 different camps total. The schedule was, we went June through August. It was a long time period, multiple camps per week at various times throughout the day. So the company is based out of LA. So we have Pacific time, and then we tried to get Central time and Eastern time for our main focus points. Obviously Mountain time can jump in there, but we offered like 3 different camps. I think it was like 9, 11, and 2 on the Pacific side. And then that varied out for everybody else. But those camps ran for 2 hours a day, 5 days a week. So 1 camp could be completed Monday through Friday, 2 hours a day. So 12 weeks overall. And our average ratio there, because it was all virtual, right? Remember, it was on Zoom or whatever platform was used. We had 1 instructor for every 6 to 8 students, because you didn't want students not feeling like they were heard, right? They needed to be seen and heard. But you also didn't want instructors trying to track down a whole bunch of different kids, right? So we kept it small, which I think worked well. Different, of course, from what you would do with an in-person camp. You could obviously have more instructors, more teachers in one room. So to give you an idea of the camp offerings that we have, and this is all curriculum that is readily available. So if this is something you're interested in, just reach out to me or Rusty, or you can do the info at ubtecheducation.com email, however you want to reach out to us. But our beginner camps, we had Intro to Robotics, Animal Robots, Robot Inventor. So all robots there, right? All of these, I should mention, focus on the engineering design process. The kids got to work through that a lot, right? Building, rebuilding, but then they also a lot of presentation. So keep that in mind. For intermediate, we had robotics, sensors, and AI, musical robots, which I thought was a lot of fun. I'm not sure it was the most popular, but it was one of my favorites just because you get to create music with the robot. Vehicles of the future. And then for GMU, if you don't know anything about our Champbot kit, it is all sports related. So it was a very competitive camp there. And then we pulled 2 of those camps, 1 for beginner, 1 for intermediate, to also give to teachers so that they could go through a camp like a student, not think about how they were going to teach it, not focus on teaching it, just building and having fun and getting comfortable with the kids. So my last slide here that I'm going to talk about, and on the right, there's a graphic there from Seesaw. Ignore the hours of video recordings. We had so many videos and voice recordings from students. I don't know where that number went to, but we use Seesaw so that the students could have portfolios, right? So they got to create their own videos. They got to add in, they got to ask questions and comments. And it was so much fun to have those to share out and to view with everyone. So over 1,000 pieces of work. I thought that was really cool. But some lessons learned. that Rusty wanted me to share. So if you have any really specific questions on camp, I should say you should email Rusty because he is the mastermind of all of this. He scheduled everything. It was his little creative baby. So please make sure you ask him the specifics. I probably won't have them, but I will try. But I do know lessons learned were, we really kept the ISTE standards in mind as we revamped the camp from the first year to the second year. So we really tried to focus more on the presentation for the students, getting them to interact and create and discuss. The emphasis was on the journey, like I said, engineering design process. So making sure they're not just building, playing with it, right, for lack of a better term, and then being done with it, right? We wanted them to go through that engineering design process journey. It really helped with their persistence and their perseverance, right? Building something that doesn't work and then having to change it. Collaboration, while hard in the virtual environment, we really try to encourage and get kids to talk and watch each other and see what's going on. And then just knowing that the robotics translates across the different subject areas. So like I said, that one musical camp, right, focused on the music aspect and creating sound, where others might have focused in a different aspect. So different area. But so that was just a little tidbit of camp. Please know that we do have it available. If you want camp curriculum, talk to me, reach out. We can work on how you can get that. But that's all I have. I'm going to turn it over to Kenny now. And before he goes on to his extras, Kenny, tell us anything you want to share about your experience with Camp Aspire.
Yeah, I had an exciting opportunity to participate in Camp Inspire as an instructor. And this was during right when COVID was happening. And I remember the restrictions of, being in person. And so how do we get students to have an enriching opportunity to learn about STEM, robotics, from their homes, right? And so what Camp Aspire allowed is that students were allowed to pick and select their kits where they would be delivered to their home. And I just remember as an instructor, it was a very enriching and really awesome. It was really fun. I had a great time interacting with the students and having them develop, build like different projects. And then the way the curriculum was set up, it was very easy. And I remember the tech support was, readily available. So if something wasn't working, they would send out replacement parts. And as a teacher, I just had so much fun with the students over the summer and working with the different students. And it wasn't from like one area, it was from all over, different parts of the country, which is really interesting. So I got to meet with different students and work with them. And it was a very hands-on experiential learning. And just overall, it was a great experience for me and the students.
For sure. Robot Doctor during the summer was like my favorite thing because I'm like, if I have a question, I can get on Robot Doctor and ask questions as well. So awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that, Kenny. Let's go on to robotics outside the classroom for you. What does that look like?
Yeah, just to tell you a quick story. So when our school was founded in 2013, I had a couple students approach me and they wanted to start a robotics club, outside of class. I have very limited background, starting off, like I wasn't really into robots or anything like that. Like I knew of them, but I wouldn't say like I'm like a pro at robots at all. And so, when our school was founded, the students came to me and we didn't really have much of a budget. We had maybe like $30, a couple hand tools and literally a small closet space, like size room with a small table they can barely fit. So starting off, we didn't have a lot. And so we had to be resourceful. And some of the things that I've learned over the years, now we're on like going on to our 10th year with this robotics club. And proud to say, over the years, we're, locally, nationally, internationally recognized. We have, we've been recognized by Forbes magazine, Star Wars, and there's all these amazing links. You can, I believe, there's a document there that you can look at the links. And so just very humbled, and just to see the progress of where we came to where we are today. And we always had this idea of a growth mindset idea. It's not about being the best. It's not about being perfect, but how can I learn something new each day? And so I have a sign on the door that says, leave as a better person. And so from where we started, humbly, we made a lot of mistakes, a lot of errors, but we celebrate our mistakes. And some of the ways, that some of the things that we do in the class is we celebrate the mistakes and really learn from them and grow and to be better each day. It's about progression. It's not about perfection. So What I've learned over the years is that with robotics out of the class, one of the best ways to engage students in science, technology, engineering, math is that having a club outside of class is a very low stakes environment. The students don't feel like they're graded where, if I do this, oh, I'm going to dock off points, or, you'll get a, F or a C or whatever if I make a mistake like this or that. Having a club offers a very low stakes environment. And so students don't feel the pressure to perform at a certain level. They have actually fun doing it. And some of the fun are the hardest fun that they have. And what I mean by that is it takes work, but there's so much opportunity to take the risks in a club environment outside of class. And so, and by the way, we have students coming in with a range of background. We have students that never touched a tool before or ever seen a robot, or they don't even know what a robot is, to students who come with very strong skill sets. And what's beautiful about it is that we all learn from each other, and we celebrate our mistakes and we learn from each other. We always have this growth mindset, and we always encourage to explore, try new things, and have skill sets. And what I find something that's so beautiful is I have students that come in and they develop a certain skill because that's their strength. Some students are visual learners, and some are auditory, some are kinesthetic, and based on how they learn and what their strengths are, they develop a certain skill level. And by the time they graduate, they perfect that skill and continually perfect it. And they're teaching us. Like, I have a student who's phenomenal at like Fusion 360 CAD modeling, like unbelievable skill sets. And they're teaching the next group of students how to use it. They're teaching me, I'm learning from them, and we're just all learning from each other. And that's like one particular skill set. We have another one who's a programmer, an excellent programmer. And I can probably just do basic coding, but we have a student that's just so developed their skill, so beyond like my level. I consider them as like the professor. Like they're teaching all of us about coding. And so that's what we want to encourage. We want to encourage that. We want to have the students excel and be excellent in certain skill sets, and encourage them and help continue to develop those skill sets. So over the years, I'm just so amazed and thankful to watch the growth and to always encourage them and to help them develop that skill, their skill sets. I'd like to go on to the next slide. So
I'm going to go ahead and play this, Kenny, while you're talking. I'll mute it and play it. Okay.
Okay. So I'd like to highlight some of the unique projects that we've done over the 10 years of starting a club. And one of the projects that we actually came up with, and I have many, I only have time to do maybe a couple highlighted projects here. Our club actually developed the world's first humanoid skydiving robot. And each of our projects have such a cool story behind them. And this story actually starts out with a field trip. We did a physics field trip to iFly. iFly is a company that provides an indoor wind chamber where you can go and learn, you can learn about terminal velocity and gravity and things like that. So they have a really great physics curriculum. And after the field trip, our students were kind of wondering, wouldn't it be cool, Mr. Bay, if we can just fly a robot inside the wind chamber? And with that idea, we're quickly shot down because you can't have any metal in the wind chamber. And iFly does not want to have cracked windows or anything like that, any debris flying in the wind chamber. And so with this idea, and by the way, what I always say is like, never underestimate the power of the youth, and our kids, our students, although they may be younger, can come up with ideas that a trained professional engineer or doctor or technician may not even think of. So don't underestimate the youth. And so they had this idea of, could we fly a robot in the wind chamber? And doing some research, they have actually flown these spherical robot capsules. So the idea was already created, but that didn't stop us. We wanted to see if we wanted to do a humanoid skydiving robot. And the goal was to bring the dream of flight by engaging young students in the field of science, especially aerospace engineering, technology, and math. And so this was a year-long project. We actually started with the mannequin. We bought a mannequin from like eBay, like a used mannequin. We spent about 30, 40 bucks on it. And then we actually repurposed and reused all the equipment we already had since we compete in the First Tech Challenge competition. And so, you know, we were very resourceful. This wasn't an expensive project for us. And we were trying to see if we were able to encapsulate and close the components inside the mannequin so that there's no way that any debris or anything would fly. And we try to use as much plastic material as possible because you don't want any risk of metal in the wind chamber that's like flying around. So with the help of you know, the iFly managers that were out there, they were really intrigued by our idea. And so long story short, you know, we were actually able to successfully test, and it was one of the most amazing. I wish we were all there. It felt like the moment, like where the Wright brothers actually tested the first airplane. It was such a exhilarating, you know, feeling to like take an idea that people doubted. Oh, you can't do this, you can't do that, and to take that idea into fruition and actually, you know, successfully test flight the first humanoid skydiving robot. It was a very powerful moment for the students. It's something that they'll never forget. And then that's one of the cool projects that to this day I'm very proud. And we're still working on. We're still working on other types of robots, and it's really helping the students learn about biomechanics, engineering, how the robot needs to behave in the wind tunnel to perform acrobatic movements. So I'm very proud of that project. I have another project I'd like to highlight. You know, something we did outside of the class is this is a UBTECH portable ventilator. And during COVID, the story behind this is during COVID, there was a huge global demand for ventilators. We heard it on the news where, you know, a lot of hospitals were short on ventilators. And so during, you know, during the school year, our students and I came together and we're like, you know, we got to do something about this. You know, we can't, you know, is it possible to, you know, provide a portable ventilator using the materials that we had? And so we kind of brainstormed some ideas on what we could do at the time. And so our students came up with a prototype. And so what we did is we try to repurpose and reuse the equipment that we had. And so initially, I remember when we came up with the idea and developed our first prototype, there were some professors that we reached out to that initially shot us down. They actually criticized us because they said that, hey, you know, high school students or young kids should never work on projects like this. You're going to kill someone. Don't even bother doing anything like this. And initially, we were drawn back by the criticism, but you know, we really kind of stepped back a little bit, reflected, and like, how do you expect our students to be science, technology, engineering leaders? I mean, these students of ours, they're the next generation. How do you expect them to learn this if they don't start now? And so this was an opportunity for us to learn, and it may not go into clinical trials. Maybe it won't even be used in a hospital, but they'll get to learn real world practical, you know, engineering, you know, and in collaboration with some healthcare workers. So initially we were drawn back, but we said, you know, that actually motivated us to like go even further into the project. So with the help of my sister is actually a nurse practitioner, so I'd like to give a shout out to Ellen, my sister. She actually gave us some insightful information about how ventilators work in a hospital, and using that information, we collaborated with several other doctors, and they actually work with our students, and we actually created some prototypes. And this is actually using the UBTECH portable ventilator. And what the goal is, the idea is to squeeze an ambu bag because a healthcare worker, to do it manually, it would be very tiresome over time. They would, if you just squeeze it at regular paces, it would get very tiresome. So what this prototype would do is it's a simple machine using basic code that would pump the amount of air into the ambu bag for the patient to breathe at certain intervals. And what we learned actually is that the ambu bag requires a certain amount of squeezing, because if you squeeze too hard, you're going to pop a lung, right? and you can't squeeze too little because you won't get enough air into the patient. So what the students learned is, well, how frequent does the machine have to pump, and how much strength does it have to pump? And so they learned a lot about coding and how to use the repeat loops. They learned about the mechanical design of how to squeeze the ambu bag, and it was such a really great project. In the end, we didn't, get it to the clinical trials and use it for hospital, but the whole process in itself, like to get the students involved in a real world crisis situation, it was such a powerful experience. And I'm just so thankful. We've been recognized by so much media. We actually have a Forbes magazine article written about us, to being interviewed on the local news. Daisy Ridley, the actress that plays on Star Wars, she did a shout out to us on YouTube. We just got so much media attention, which I didn't expect. I mean, we were trying to get our students involved in helping solve real world, applications, especially in an emergency situation like this, like getting our students involved. And now those students are even more motivated to go into this field. They want to graduate, be doctors, engineers, and lawyers, doctors, engineers, and mathematicians, and pursue STEM. So they want to go into this field. So it's such an incredible experience, and and we want to continue that. We want to continue inspiring young generations to tackle current issues.
Yes. So like Kenny said, in the webinar link page, all those accolades, recognition that he talked about, all those articles, podcasts, everything's on there. So please feel free to check that out following the webinar. I will say, I've watched this video so many times, and I just noticed the Campus Fire poster in the background.
Yep, that's right. Yeah,
That's
actually,
fun for us.
yeah, we did this during Campus Fire. Yeah, that's right.
Very fun. Okay, let's get to the next one. Okay, I will, for those that are, we're gonna stop all that. Ooh.
Okay.
The first and the last video you've already seen. So I will play the second one while Kenny's talking, just so you can see the other ventilator that they worked on.
Yeah, so all the, as you can see here, all the accolades are wonderful, but we're always trying to figure out ways to find opportunities to help our students. And because of these projects, they've opened up doors for us. And these unique projects, these creative projects that we've developed with our students have led us to win grants, recognition. Like I could spend a long time, but we've gotten grants from many different organizations such as like Disney, Home Depot, Coca-Cola. We actually got grants from 3D System. We actually got donations from companies to, they actually provided us a laser cutter, X-Carbon. These are like expensive equipment, and I'm just really appreciative of those, the partnerships that we received from organizations. And so these unique ideas that students come up with, we listen to those ideas and we figure out ways that, hey, let's actually do it. Let's see if we can make this work. And luckily we were able to get so many organizations on board to help us with execute these projects. And yeah, and so we're just very thankful to be recognized by a lot of media and attention. We're actually part of the First Tech Robotics Challenge, and so we've been recognized through them by getting different awards for connecting our students with the local community, and also so we won a number of awards called the Connect Award, which is connecting our team with the local community in science, technology, engineering, math, and also the Motivate Award for showing gracious professionalism, team collaboration, and supporting other teams in our area. And yeah, so that's a little bit about some of the accolades that we received with our team. You can go on to the next slide here.
I'm going to pause you for just a second, because I think teachers are going to want to know, what did you do on your end in order to get those sponsorships and the money or the objects that they purchased for you? Like, how did that go about? Was it just the video that you created, or?
Yeah, excellent question. So the grant writing, we do it with the students. Everything fundraising, grant writing, we do it with the students. I'll tell you another quick story. So you'll see a logo that says Green Ribbon School. So I had a student, and we actually this particular student was really interested in doing some type of like gardening project, and I have no background in gardening whatsoever. So she and I, we looked for 3 grants. Well, actually, we applied to 6 grants. Of the 6, when we did them together, and they're kind of like short grants, like the local Home Depot, you know, and Disney and things like that. There's these grants that we sought for, and she and I, we wrote these grants together. We were lucky to win 3 out of the 6. And they were like $100. And I remember that initial feeling, that excitement. Hey, we got $100 from Home Depot. We were so excited. And we used that money to build a raised garden bed. And we integrated that in our science classes. And I remember the excitement of winning $100, and that excitement was very, almost kind of addicting. We're like, that's so cool. Let's do another one. And so in the end, we won 3, and that helped us, provide that seed money to build a raised garden bed. And then that excitement was contagious. And so there are other students that saw what we were doing, and like, hey, you know, Home Depot or Walmart or whatever, these companies are sponsoring us, these big brand companies. And so that was contagious. That excitement was really contagious. And I get excited when the students get excited. So when the students spearheaded this grant, and when we won the initial money, that got more students excited. And so we had another student that was really interested in solar panels. So we wrote a $10,000 grant together, and luckily we won that grant, and we were able to get solar panels installed to our school. We had another student that wanted to do composting, so we wrote a grant on that. And by the way, we're nonprofits, so we're trying to raise our own money with our projects. And so getting the students involved with that was such a really awesome experience. And before you knew it, with all these projects that we've accomplished over the years, we decided the students wanted to apply for the Green Ribbon Award. It's called the U.S. Department of Education Green Ribbon Award. And so with all the projects that we've done, we actually spearheaded this application. It was a really big application, and long story short, we won. In 2018, we were awarded the U.S. Department of Education Green Ribbon Award. And so and by the way, that was never our end game. Like, we didn't wake up one morning and say, we're going to win this big national award. We're just going to start where we are, and and start with the students' interest, and write a grant, and just kind of go from there. And it just somehow led up to that national award. And actually that award helped us get our TEDx license, because the theme of our TEDx events are ideas associated with the color green. So one thing has led to another, and these initiatives all started with our students. It all started with them, and just being really excited because they're excited, and I it's like a feedback loop. I get excited when they're excited, and we just get all really excited and work on these really cool projects. I don't know if that answered your question there.
Yes,
okay.
Absolutely. Just the grant writing, yes, for sure. So I just didn't want teachers to be like, oh, we just put a video up and got all this money. So you put a lot of work into this, and your students spearheaded a lot of it, is what it sounds like.
Yeah,
for sure. Very cool. You guys, the link for their application apps actually for Green Ribbon Schools is in that webinar links page. So it is very detailed, very in-depth. I had no idea that those were so long. So it's very cool. Please go check it out. We're going to see if we can get past all these videos. Okay. Kenny, your best advice if someone wants to start anything outside of the classroom like you did.
Yes, my best advice here is to expose students to as much real world environments and connecting them to our local community. I mean, we live in the city of Chicago. I don't know where you're from, whether you're in an urban area or in a rural village, no matter where you are, there's always going to be a real world opportunity out there. And because we're in Chicago, you know, we're very lucky because the city of Chicago is the 3rd most populous city in the country. And it is filled with, I would say, like so much, I would say just a lot of great companies out here in Chicago, from Fortune 500 to local mom and pops. And there's just a wealth of resources. I think of them as kind of like gold, because there's literally gold in our backyard. It's just, you just got to find the gold nuggets. And you know, there's so many companies out there willing to, you know, provide funding, sponsorships, even mentorship. There's a lot of engineering companies in our area that's willing to, send out engineers to connect with our students. And it's just keeping an eye out on those and helping our students connect to real world opportunities like the iFly opportunity, that started from a field trip, or the portable ventilator. I mean, for that project, we're lucky to have family members that are in the healthcare industry, and they helped our students come up with ideas and allowing the students to connect with the community, to work on real world projects and to make an impact. Because at the end of the day, when they graduate, they're going to be going off into the real world and making a positive difference in the world and in the community. So and to get them started early is what my best advice is, because there's so much opportunity out there, just waiting out there. And so take advantage of it. Take advantage, of the wealth of grant. There's like grants out there. There's companies like, I'll tell you one story. There's a company called HBK Engineering. They're actually a sponsor of our robotics team. And we actually knew about this company from a field trip. We just a basic tour, and they showed us their facility. And so it was really cool. I didn't really know anyone from the company. And then we just simply asked, hey, we're a robotics club, and we're working on this project. Can you give us $100? Can you give us $50? It's a small amount. And they sponsored us. They gave us, several $100s initially at the time. And with that money, we were excited to show them all the progress that we've made with our unique projects that we came up with and how we use the money. And several years later, now they're sending mentors. So they actually sent some of their engineers to some of our robotics events that we've had, and getting that expertise with the professional engineers. So this organically happened over time. It started out something very small, and now we've had a stronger bond with that. And that's just like one of our sponsors. We have a number of sponsors, but over time, to connect with real engineers and working with our students and getting that mentorship.
I think that's really easy as a teacher, right? To just kind of enclose yourself in your room with your students and just keep everything inside. But really, if you can bring in any outside people or take students to places, like, it just really opens up so much more for you and your students than just, keeping everything in one place.
Yeah, I do want to say one advantage now with like COVID, everyone's going on Zoom. It's so much easier now to connect with people because everyone's on Zoom these days. Mm-hmm. So it's easy to like schedule an engineer on Zoom and like figure out a time during class or outside of class to have that professional like talk with the students and being the mediator of that and having discussions. So it's just so much easier now because there's a lot of professionals out there willing to offer remote time with our clubs. So I just want to make that point. Yeah.
For sure. Okay. I'm going to do a couple of slides here and I'll come back to Q&A because we don't have any questions in yet. But Kenny, I want you to take a moment to read through the chat because there's some awesome things in there that I want you to see. So while Kenny is doing that, please send in any questions you have for Kenny or myself. I'll come back to that slide. To give you a heads up, our next webinar is April 13th. It is about robotics in the classroom. So we're going to talk about implementing UBTECH inside the classroom. What are some things to consider? What are some good ideas, strategies, all of that. And I didn't mention, since we saw you guys last time in November, we now have a teacher ambassador program with teachers who are willing to be on video with us. And so Kenny's our first TAP teacher to join us in a webinar, but we will have others throughout this year. So I don't remember off the top of my head, sorry, who's here next month, but please make sure you come in and join the teachers. Again, you can connect with us, email, social media, website, however you want to touch base with us. The webinar again is being recorded. It will be sent out to you along with a survey. That survey gives Rusty and I feedback. It's going to give Kenny feedback. So please make sure you fill out that survey. Let us know what you think. I'm going to go back now. Oh, or not. My computer's like, no, please be done. Go back to Q&A. So this is your chance if you want to send anything in. Kenny and I are watching the chat. If you want to know anything at all about robotics outside of the classroom, can you remind them how you can get access to camp curriculum? Tony, our director of educational sales, is having me remind you. Yes, so camp curriculum is going to be available with purchase of kits. And so if you have access to kit curriculum, you will have access to camp curriculum, and you're welcome to reach out to Rusty or I. We can help you with that, or if you do the info@ubtecheducation.com, we can get you access to camp curriculum. It is free curriculum with the kits. So you should definitely take on with that, because like Kenny said, super easy to implement, right? He did it virtually, but you can do it in person if you have enough kits for the kids. But 5 days, super short. So if you're not into doing the whole 3 to 4 week unit, this is a great in for maybe once a week or a couple hours a day. Eric is jumping off. Will the links be sent? Oh, that's a good question. I will. Lindsay's on here somewhere. Eric, we will get the webinar link page. Otherwise, it's always going to be up. So you're welcome to save a copy of it for yourself. Other questions that you guys have? Kenny, anything else you want to add on or end with?
By the way, I love the comments that people have said. Paul, thank you very much. Great project. And then Brad, preparing for goals you never planned for. Yeah, I love that. And then Tony, I'm really happy to see that you saw the online Tetrix built. Yeah, that's so cool. Anil, teamwork makes the dream work. I agree. Thank you so much. I agree, Paul. Solar panels should be at all schools. We're trying to shift to more renewable energy. I mean, that's the future. We do need to shift to clean energy, renewable energy. So solar panels, wind turbines. And I like Brad's comment. Steve Jobs is nodding his head somewhere like that. That's great. Paul, thank you. Field trips are great things. Now that some of the mandates have been lifted, so we are now allowing field trips to occur. So I'm really happy to do some field trips with our students. But thank you so much for all your comments and feedback. And local is building a new school, no solar panels in the plan. Okay, all right. Well, thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate all your comments, and let's be strong. And I want to thank you, the teachers, the educators out there. Like, I feel like all the educators at this time, like, we just need to rally together. There's so much teacher burnout these days, with like COVID and education. Being in the education field is really hard work, is really difficult work. So I encourage all our teachers out there, stay strong, stay the course. Our students need you. This is one of the professions that I'm really passionate, I'm really privileged and honored to be a part of. And so I hope that we all can stick together and stay strong. And we're making a really big impact on our students. And you may not see it immediately, but they're our future. They're the next generation of technology scientists, leaders, and so really honored and thankful to be part of this session and with you all. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Kenny. We are so honored to have you here. And for all those that joined us today, thank you so much for joining us. Again, you'll get an email with the recording and the survey and the webinar links. We'll figure that out. But please join us again next month. Reach out anytime you need anything. Thank you again for joining us. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.